Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to call a federal election by Sunday, according to multiple sources within the Liberal Party. Joining us now is political strategist Rachael Segal. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So this comes after an Ipsos poll showing the Liberals are gaining ground on Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. The Carney-led Liberals now have a 6-point lead over the Conservatives, putting them within reach of a majority government. Are you surprised?
Well, I think what we're actually seeing is that the NDP are bleeding support to the Liberals. If you look at the polls right now, the Conservatives are holding steady around the upper 30s, low 40s, which is what we saw when Justin Trudeau was prime minister as well. What we're also seeing is that the NDP are slowly going down and down in the polls, projected now to win, single seats in the House if the election were called today. And so I think Mark Carney has come in and he's put a different question in front of Canadians than Justin Trudeau, one that is more to the right on the political spectrum. And so I think that a lot of the centrist left Liberals are now saying, is Mark Carney that guy for us? Or are we ultimately going to see Jagmeet Singh and the NDP come out and try and win those people back? And I think for me, that's the interesting question going into this election, is whether or not we will see Mark Carney go left or go right, and where those centrist voters will actually end up on election day.
So what are your predictions if this election is called?
My predictions if this election is called is that we will see a really great race over the next few weeks. And you have to remember, Mark Carney has never run for office. In fact, most Canadians don't realize our prime minister is unelected right now. He won the leadership with 0.3% of the Canadian public voting for him, which in turn made him the prime minister. And so I think what we're going to see over the next few weeks is really a test of Mark Carney's ability to campaign, his ability to message, and whether or not Canadians really resonate with who Mark Carney is. Because as we know him right now, the former Bank of Canada governor, former Bank of England governor, most Canadians can't really tell you much else about Mark Carney. And so I think what a lot of people are watching is whether or not he's able to resonate, what his policies will be, like I just said, and whether or not Canadians decide that they want to actually give him a term once actually elected.
Absolutely. Canadians will finally have a chance to sort of react to this new prime minister. According to sources, Carney is calling it before Monday to avoid facing the required return of the prorogued parliament. Why might he avoid parliament?
Well, like I said, Mark Carney is an untested leader. He's never held elected office. And so going into the House for anybody elected for the first time is quite complicated, let alone somebody who is carrying the prime ministerialship in the House. And so I think that what the Liberal camp is really hoping is that Canadians will give Mark Carney that mandate to govern. And yet I think a lot of people are banking on the fact that his ability to campaign, his ability to be a politician is probably not as strong as his competition, who is Pierre Poilievre, a guy that has been a minister in the government, that has worked on some of Canada's most complicated issues for the last few decades. And so I think for us as political watchers, what we're really wanting to see is the juxtaposition of these two men going toe to toe, and what it is ultimately that they will be offering to Canadians when we see policies coming out. Because we've seen a little bit, like I said, a shift from the Carney camp this week. A lot of things that Pierre Poilievre has been talking about over the last little while, Carney is now announcing himself. And so what that will look like as we go through this campaign will be very, very interesting.
And while other media are reporting election day of April 28th, Global News has been told by a senior Liberal campaign official that it's understood Carney has not yet settled on the actual date, but May 5th is also being considered. When do you think it might happen, and is there a strategy behind the date?
I absolutely think there's a strategy. Like I said, an untested leader, you want to give him as little runway as possible to make any missteps. So I think what the Liberal camp is probably looking at is a shorter election timeline. Of course, we have mandated timelines in this country. There's a minimum and a maximum. Obviously, they're going to try and hit that closer to that minimum. But you also want to make sure that you do have enough runway during the writ period to get the leader's message across, to get the party's message across. And so I think that's probably in the back rooms of the Liberal Party, what's being calculated right now. And Carney has been out and doing a lot in his first week. But can he sustain that momentum over the course of a long period or a short period? I think that's what they're trying to calculate right now.
Sunday will be a big day for Canadians as we find out if this election will go forward. Rachel, we appreciate your time today.
Thanks so much.
That's political strategist Rachael Segal.